Introduction to the Science of Ecology Part 1. 5. 3. Historical Perspectives. The genesis of ecology is very difficult to trace. Ancient Indian writing reflects the reference of ecological thoughts like Vedic, epic, Puranic, etc. Describe the importance of Vayu, air, Jala, water, Desha, topography, and call time. The interrelationships between the organisms and their environment are described by some outstanding Greek scholars like Aristotle, Hippocrates, Theophrastus, etc. Some of the scientists with their important contributions are Baron A.B. Humboldt, 1804, explored the tropical and temperate South America and published 26 volumes based on the data collected by him. Alfred R. Wallace published 3 books titled I, the Malaya Archipelago, E, the Geographical Distribution of Animals, and E, Island Life. Geoffroy St. Hilaire, 1859, first used term, ethology, to refer the study of relationship of organisms with their environment. St. George Jackson Milbart proposed the term, hexecology, to refer the study of organisms with their relation to environment regarding the nature of locality, temperature and amount of light that best suit them and also their relation with other organisms as enemies, rivals or accidental and involuntary benefactors. Rioter, 1868, first introduced the term, ecology, to describe the interrelationship that exists between organisms and their environment. Ernst Haeckel, 1869, was a German biologist and was credited to have coined the term, ecology, and used it widely in his literature. He also precisely gave its definition. Lecoq, Sendner and Kerner introduced for the first time the plant communities as an aspect of ecology. Carl Mobius, 1877, described the animal communities. Schroeder and Kirchner, 1896, introduced the term, synecology. McFadden, 1957, a British biologist, laid down the principles governing the relationship of plants and animals and their relations to environment. K. Friedrichs, 1958, defined ecology as the science of living beings as members of the whole of nature. Zoology. Principles of ecology. Introduction to the Science of Ecology Part 1. 6. F. Fraser Darling, 1963, defined ecology as the science of organisms in relation to their total environment and the interrelationship of organisms interspecifically and between themselves. A. G. Tansley, 1935, introduced the term ecosystem and led to the development of concepts of productivity and energy relations in ecology, which is now referred to as bioenergetic approach. 4. Principal steps of ecology. A. Reception of energy. B. Manufacture of organic food by producers. C. Consumption of organic matter by consumers. D. Decomposition to organic compounds. E. Transformation of these compounds into suitable compounds for the nutrition of the producers. 5. Ecological hierarchy. Ecology deals with the interactions of all the various levels of biological organization, organisms, populations, communities, ecosystems, and biomes. The organization at several levels in an ascending order of complexity from a simple individual and culminate to a more complex biosphere is called ecological hierarchy. Each level is formed of the components of its lower level. To structure the study of ecology into a conceptually manageable framework, the biological world is organized into a nested hierarchy, ranging in scale from genes, to cells, to tissues, to organs, to organisms, to species, to populations, to communities, to ecosystems, to biomes, and up to the level of the biosphere. Figure 2. Zoology. Principles of ecology. Introduction to the Science of Ecology Part 1. 7. Fig. Point 2. Ecology.
So here we can see biotic components are also shown. Abiotic components are there, biosystem is there. So biological level of organization showing the interaction of living, that means biotic components with non-living abiotic components. We can see genes, genetic system, cells, cell system, organs, organ system, organisms, organismic system, populations, population system, communities, ecosystem system. So here will be a great amount of transfer of matter and energy.
Fig. Point 2. Ecological level of organization. Source. Recreated from Fundamental of Ecology, 5th edition by E.P. Odum. Understanding all the levels of ecological organizations in an ecological hierarchy is important to study a complete ecosystem. This structure forms a panarchy and exhibits nonlinear behaviors. Behaviors corresponding to higher levels occur at slow rates. Conversely, lower organizational levels exhibit rapid rates. For example, individual tree leaves respond rapidly to momentary changes in physical factors, but the growth of the tree responds more slowly. Fig. Point 3. Levels of ecological organization. Source. Zoology.
Biosphere, global processes, ecosystem energy flux and cycling of nutrients, community interactions among populations, population dynamics, the unit of evolution, organism survival and reproduction, the unit of natural selection. Levels of ecological organization. So you can see study of population is called demography.
It deals with the study of population size, density, population growth, population distribution pattern, survivorship curve and determination of population growth rate. Organisms from a population inhabiting in different geographical areas may form several other populations. Local population, it refers to the different populations of the same kind of an organism. Ecotype refers to the members of a local population which may be genetically adapted to their specific environment. Domestic refers to subgroups of a population in any given geographical area living in close interact with each other and mainly breeds among themselves. Domestic refers to subgroups of a population in any given geographical area living in close interact with each other and mainly breeds among themselves. The community or biotic community is a group of populations of different species which live in a particular area. Populations do not exist in isolation. They interact with each other through mutualism, predation, competition, etc. and form communities. These interactions regulate diversity and population growth. The ecosystem is a fundamental unit of ecology consisting of biological community and its physical environment both interacting resulting in exchange of both materials and energy. It, S being the most dynamic of all levels. The landscape is a unit of land distinguished by a natural boundary and having patches of different ecosystems. The biome is a large regional unit delimited by a specific climatic zone, having a particular major vegetation zone and its associated fauna, e.g., tundra desert, temperate deciduous forest, tropical rainforest, ocean. Zoology. Principles of Ecology. Introduction to the Science of Ecology Part 1. 9. The biosphere is biologically inhabited part of Earth along with its physical environment consisting of lower atmosphere, land and water bodies. It includes all ecosystems of this Earth and their interrelationships. In order to deeply understand the nature of these relationships and the systems to which they belong within the biosphere, global ecologists even today continue to look at the evolution and adaptation of organisms and how species and populations relate to one another as well as their environment. 6. Subdivision of ecology. The scope of ecology has undergone sweeping change and the field of ecology has broadened substantially. Figure 4. The study of ecology is centered on three main aspects: I. Taxonomic affinities, E. Habitat, and E. Levels of organization.
Taxonomic affinities, habitat, and levels of organization. Subdivisions of ecology: taxonomic affinities, plant ecology, animal ecology, types of habitat, habitat ecology, coral reef, marine, estuarine, freshwater, grassland, forest, desert. Then levels of organization: autoecology and synecology, units of individual in case of autoecology, group of individuals in case of synecology.
Zoology. Principles of Ecology. Introduction to the Science of Ecology Part 1. 10. Emphasizing on individual organism or groups of organisms living in a particular ecosystem, ecology can mainly be divided into two types, namely, autoecology and synecology. 6.1. Autoecology. It is the subdivision of ecology which deals with the ecological study of one species of organism throughout its life in relation to the ecological habitat factors like the life history, population dynamics, behavior, home range, etc. Thereby concentrating on the finer details of a particular organism. It sharply focuses on a particular organism with the purpose of seeing how it fits into general ecological picture. For example, relationship of an oak tree to its environment. 6.2. Synecology. It deals with the ecological studies of communities or entire ecosystems, describing the overall energy and material flow through the system. Hence it is the study of groups of organisms in relation to its environment which are associated together as a unit. For example, tropical forests or deserts. Synecology is further subdivided into aquatic and terrestrial ecology. In the words of Harry 2, 1977, the two types of study, autoecology and synecology, interrelate, the synecologist painting with a broad brush the outline of the picture and autoecologist stroking in the finer details. Differences between the synecology and autoecology are enumerated below in Table 2. Zoology. Principles of Ecology. Introduction to the Science of Ecology Part 1. 11. Table 2. Differences between synecology and autoecology. Sort.
So here we can see, in case of autoecology, it is the study of an organism or a species or a population in relation to its environment. Synecology, it is the study of group of organisms or many species or communities in relation to their environment. Autoecology is occasionally referred to as population ecology. Synecology is also referred to as community ecology. Autoecology is comparatively simple, experimental, and inductive, but synecology is more complex, philosophical, and deductive. Laboratory setup studies can be done using conventional mathematical tools to interpret data in case of autoecology, but synecology, it's a more complex, naturally formed system involving interaction lasting over hundreds of years, hence cannot be accommodated in a lab setup. So if we are dealing with a research, that's more probably synecology. Okay, no, autoecology, I'm sorry. Laboratory setup studies can be done in case of autoecology. The study is at the level of an individual, a population, or an entire species. Autoecology. The species is at the largest, highest level of biological organism, many population in an area, community interacting with each other and the environment like ecosystem. Study of deer population in relation to its environment involving factors like rainfall, hunting, lion population, etc. in a grassland ecosystem. But in ecology, study of entire forest ecosystem comprising all the species or communities. So I hope the difference is clear.
Source. Hash. WJCabal97IU. 7. Ecosystem and habitat. Habitat and ecosystem are two different components of ecology, but both those are found in one place. An ecosystem contains many habitats, but it is the basic, dynamic and complex, natural, functional ecological unit of living organism and their environment. An ecospecies of living organism is known as a habitat. The term typically refers to the natural environmental zone in which the organism lives or the physical environment that surrounds a species population, where it can find food, shelter, protection and mates for reproduction. It is made up of physical factors such as soil, moisture, range of temperature, and intensity as well as biotic factors such as the availability of food and the presence or absence of predators. Hence, habitat is a physical location where an organism or a community of organisms lives, while niche, on the other hand, is that specific position of an organism resides in a community ecosystem. Fig. 5. Figure 5. Different types of habitats. Source, author and departmental artist. Every organism has a certain habitat need for the conditions in which it can thrive. Some species are tolerant of wide variations while others are very specific in their requirements. A habitat is not necessarily a geographical area. It can be the interior of a stem, a rotten log, a rock or a clump of moss, and for a parasitic organism it is the body of its host, part of the host's body such as the digestive tract, or a single cell within the host's body. Every habitat has distinct life forms living in it, forming complex communities of interdependent organisms. Biomes have many ecosystems, where several habitats meet. They include the geography and climate conditions of communities of plants, animals, and soil organisms. Zoology. Principles of Ecology. Introduction to the Science of Ecology Part 1. 13. Generally, two key variables dictate the geographical distribution of Earth's different habitat types: precipitation and temperature. Habitat types include polar, temperate, subtropical, and tropical. Habitats are also classified as terrestrial and aquatic habitats. Aquatic habitat includes freshwater, estuarine, and marine habitat. Terrestrial habitat includes forest, grassland, cropland, desert habitat, etc., and is concerned with their microclimate, soil chemistry, nutrient, hydrological cycle, and productivity. The different types of terrestrial habitats are given in the Table 3. Name of biome, region, flora, and fauna. 1. Tundra, northernmost adjoining the icebound poles. Devoid of trees except stunted shrubs in the southern part. Ground flora includes lichen, mosses, and sedge. The typical animals are reindeer, Arctic fox, polar bear, snowy owl, lemming, Arctic hare, ptarmigan. Reptiles and amphibians are almost absent. 2. Taiga, northern Europe, Asia and northern America, but in areas of more moderate temperature to tundra. Also known as boreal forest. The dominant vegetation is coniferous evergreens, mostly spruce, with some pine and firs. The fauna consists of small seed-eating birds, hawks, fur-bearing carnivores, little mink, elks, puma, Siberian tiger, wolverine, wolves, etc. 3. Temperate deciduous forest extends over Central and Southern Europe, Eastern, Northern America, Western China, Japan, New Zealand, etc. Temperature on an average is moderate and rainfall is abundant. These are generally the most productive agricultural areas of the earth. The flora includes trees like beech, oak, maple, and cherry. Most animal are the familiar vertebrates and invertebrates. 4. Tropical rainforest. Tropical areas of high rainfall in the equatorial regions, which abound with life. Temperature is high. Tropical rainforest covers only about 7% of the Earth's surface and houses 40% of the world's plant and animal species. Multiply story of broad-leaved evergreen tree species are in abundance. Most animals and epiphytic plants are concentrated in the canopy or treetop zones. 5. Savanna tropical region. Savanna is most extensive in Africa. Grasses with scattered trees and fire-resisting thorny shrubs. The fauna include a great diversity of grazers and browsers such as 14. Antelopes, buffaloes, zebras, elephants and rhinoceros. The carnivores include lion, cheetah, hyena, and mongoose and many rodents. 6. Grasslands, Northern America, Midwest, and Ukraine, dominated by grasses. Temperate conditions with rather low rainfall. Grass dominates the vegetation. The fauna include large herbivores like bison, antelope, cattle, rodent, prairie, dog, wolves, and a rich and diverse array of ground nesting bird. 7. Desert continental interiors with very low and sporadic rainfall with low humidity. The days are very hot but nights are cold. The flora is drought-resistant vegetation such as cacti, euphorbias, sagebrush. Many species of reptiles, mammals, and birds occur. Aquatic habitat can broadly be divided into the following. Biomes characteristics. Freshwater ecosystem. Freshwater ecosystem are characteristics as lotic, having flowing water, or lentic, still or stagnant water. Lotic water systems include freshwater streams, springs, rivulets, creeks, brooks, and rivers. Lentic water bodies include pools, ponds, some swamps, bogs, and lakes. They vary considerably in physical, chemical, and biological characteristics. Estuaries, coastal bays, river mouths, and tidal marshes from the estuaries. In estuaries, fresh water from rivers meets ocean water, and the two are mixed by action of tides. Estuaries are highly productive as compared to adjacent river or sea. Marine ecosystem. Nearly three-quarters of Earth's surface is covered by ocean with an average depth of 3,750 meters and with salinity 35 ppt, parts per thousand, about 90% of which is sodium chloride. Table 3. Different types of terrestrial. Freshwater habitats include marshes, streams, rivers, lakes, ponds, and estuaries. Marine habitats include salt marshes, the coast, the intertidal zone, reefs, bays, the open sea, the seabed, deep water, and submarine vents. Habitats change over time. This may be due to sudden changes such as the eruption of a volcano, an earthquake, a tsunami, a wildfire, etc., or the change may be more gradual over millennia with alterations in the climate, like ice sheets and glaciers advance and retreat. Also, different weather patterns may bring changes of precipitation and solar radiation. Human activities like deforestation, the plowing of ancient grasslands, the diversion and damming of rivers, the draining of marshland and the dredging of the seabed can also result in habitat makeover. Man-made changes, hunting or increased predation also leads to habitat changes through competition for resources or through the introduction of pests and diseases to which the native species might have no immunity. So, an ecosystem is a complex set of relationships among the living resources, habitats, and residents of an area. It includes all of the living things in a given area, interacting with each other, and also with their non-living immediate environments. 8. Summary. Ecology is an interdisciplinary field of science, originating from biology and is interrelated with varied fields even apart from science. It is an ever-evolving discipline with futuristic implications. Ecologists need knowledge of many subjects to fully understand any ecosystem in depth. Ecology involves the scientific study of the distributions, abundance, and relations of organisms and their interactions with the physical environment. Since the survival of any organism, from the largest animals to bacteria invisible to the human eye, depends on its interaction with the environment, therefore, the systematic study of ecology is of prime importance to the protection and survival of life on planet Earth as well as in exploring the possibilities of life in outer space currently at Mars. An ecosystem is the most important complete unit amongst all the levels of organizational hierarchy, with organism individual of a species being its simplest level and biosphere being the most complex level of all. Habitat is termed as the physical location of a community of a particular ecosystem. Similar organisms form a population and different populations of dissimilar species in varied habitats together form a community. Many communities coexist in an ecosystem where energy flux and cycling of nutrients takes place. Biomes are distinct biological communities that have formed in response to a shared physical climate. A biome is not an ecosystem, although in a way it can look like a massive ecosystem. They are a way to divide Earth's surface. Zoology. Principles of Ecology. Introduction to the Science of Ecology Part 1. 16. Ecosystem simply means ecological systems, and ecology.
So a biome is not an ecosystem, although in a way it can look like a massive ecosystem. They are a way to divide Earth's surface. But biomes are made up of different ecosystems, and a biome is not an ecosystem.
Zoology. Principles of Ecology. Introduction to the Science of Ecology Part 1. 15. Makeover. Man-made changes, hunting or increased predation also leads to habitat changes through competition for resources or through the introduction of pests and diseases to which the native species might have no immunity. So, an ecosystem is a complex set of relationships among the living resources, habitats, and residents of an area. It includes all of the living things in a given area. The Science of Ecology Part 1. 16. Ecosystem simply means ecological systems, and ecology in simple terms is the study of ecosystems, which can be huge in size or relatively small. Our planet Earth is the biggest ecosystem of the entire universe. It is a bit unfortunate, but ecosystems have been destroyed and vanished by man-made activities like deforestation, urbanization, and natural activities like floods, storms, fires, or volcanic eruptions. The study done by ecologists can help us to better understand the world around us and can influence our lives in a positive way by improving the environment of our surroundings, managing our natural resources judiciously, and protecting the public health of the masses in general.
Okay, now open another one PDF.
One. Learning outcomes. After reading this chapter, you will be able to concepts of bioaccumulation, biomagnifications, energy flow and its impact on the ecosystem. 2. Introduction. Ecological. 2. Introduction. Ecological studies mainly deal with the functioning of an ecosystem which depends on energy flow and nutrient recycling. Energy flow takes place among organisms of various trophic levels. Energy, water, nitrogen, and soil minerals are the essential abiotic components of an ecosystem which enters food chain primarily through producers. Producers are the main photosynthetic plants organisms which are at the base of food chain. They form the food source for herbivores, also consumers. Subsequently, as we go up the trophic level, secondary consumer, carnivore feeds on the consumer herbivore. Interactions of the various trophic levels give rise to a large number of ecological relationships like predation, mutualism, amensalism, neutralism, etc. Complicated networks of food chains are referred to as the food webs, comprising of two types, namely, a grazing food web and detritus food web. As we move up the trophic levels, energy transfer is reduced, whereas the pollutants are accumulated due to increase in their concentrations. The mineral nutrients are recycled endlessly within ecosystems, between their biotic and abiotic components. Biochemical transformation of nutrients occurs within the bodies of organisms and return back into the environment in the form of an organic state. Various internal and external factors are controlled the ecosystem components, namely, climate, 3. Temperature, light, precipitation, topography, soil, biota, etc. The study of an ecosystem enables an ecologist to bring the information and skills from different and varied fields of sciences in a single field. 3 main approaches used by an ecologist in their studies, namely the descriptive, temperature, light, precipitation, topography, soil, biota, etc. The study of an ecosystem enables an ecologist to bring the information and skills from different and varied fields of sciences in a single field. Three main approaches used by an ecologist in their studies, namely the descriptive, experimental, and theoretical. The study of ecosystem is highly important because only a good knowledge and thorough understanding of ecology can preserve, conserve, and restore the delicate ecological balance. Ecological succession, positive-negative feedback mechanism, and human interference go hand in hand to maintain a healthy ecological environment. 3. Processes of an ecosystem. There are two main processes which help in the functioning of an ecosystem, namely, energy flows and ecosystem nutrient cycles. These two processes are closely linked, but they are not quite the same. 3.1. Trophic level. In ecology, the ecosystem structure and dynamics is best described by the term food chain, which refers linear. In ecology, the ecosystem structure and dynamics is best described by the term food chain, which refers linear sequence of organisms through which nutrients and energy pass from primary producers to higher level consumers. Depending on their role, we can assign species or groups of species into various trophic trophy equals nourishment levels, with each organism in a food chain occupying a specific trophic level. Energy, water, nitrogen, and soil minerals are the essential abiotic components of an ecosystem which enters food chain primarily through producers. Producers such as photosynthetic organisms, phytoplankton plants, and/or constitute the bottom of the food chain in many ecosystems and are called primary producer. Primary producers are eaten by primary consumers such as herbivores. In this manner, higher level consumers feed on the subsequent lower trophic levels until it reaches the organisms at the top of the food chain called the apex consumers. 4. Fig 1. Pathways for energy transfer, a food chain. B. Food web, source, author and departmental artist. However, food chain represents only a simple and isolated relationship and represents only a part of the food or energy flow. In an ecosystem, several such food chains intercalate and forms interconnected networks of feeding relationships that take the form of food webs. Figure 1. Hence, it is a holistic and nonlinear graphical representation of primary producers, primary consumers, and higher level consumers, which describe ecosystem structure and dynamics and energy in an ecosystem. Figure 2. The food webs can be divided into two general types, a grazing food web and a detrital food web. 5. Figure 2. This conceptual model shows the flow of energy through a spring ecosystem in Silver Springs, Florida. Notice that the energy decreases with each increase in trophic level. Source, author and departmental artist. Pollutants, especially non-biodegradable ones in an ecosystem, move through the various trophic levels and cannot be metabolized by the living organisms. Consequently, we detect higher concentration of such pollutants when we move from the lower trophic to higher trophic level in an ecosystem. There can be two main processes for movement of such pollutants. Bioaccumulation. It refers to how pollutants enter the food chain in which there is an increase in concentration of pollutants from the environment to the first organism. Biomagnification. It refers to the tendency of the pollutants to concentrate as they move from one trophic level to the next. 6. This phenomenon is of great concern as small concentration of chemicals in the environment it enters the food chain can reach a high enough dosages to cause problem. Diagrammatically, the steps of trophic levels can be expressed in a form of pyramid called ecological pyramid. Figure 3. It can represent the number of individuals, biomass, or energy at each trophic level. The producer forms the base of the pyramid and the apex consumer forms the tip. The ecological pyramids are of three categories. Figure 4. I pyramid of number, E pyramid of biomass, and E pyramid of energy. Figure 3. The relative energy in trophic levels in the Silver Springs, Florida. Figure 3. The relative energy in trophic levels in a Silver Springs, Florida, an ecosystem is shown. Each trophic level has less energy available and supports fewer organisms at the next level. Source, author and departmental artist. 7. Figure 4. Ecological pyramids depict the biomass, B number of organisms, and C energy in each trophic level. Source, at 9.66, YWLGPMJD at 8 energy flow through ecosystems.
Wait a minute. First one is a pyramid of biomass. Next is the number of organisms. C. Energy in each trophic. Primary consumer have the greatest amount of energy. Apex consumer, the bare minimum.
3.2. Energy flow in an ecosystem. The energy flows from the lower producers to higher consumers trophic level. It never flows in reverse direction. Furthermore, there is a loss of some energy in the form of unusable heat in each trophic level. Hence, energy level decreases from the first trophic level upward. Sun is the main source of energy of our planet. So, the energy that flows through ecosystems is also primarily obtained from the sun. Thus, light energy of sun or photon enter the biological system and is transformed into chemical energy in organic molecules by cellular processes like photosynthesis, a process that also captures carbon from the atmosphere, and respiration process that releases carbon back into the atmosphere and ultimately is 8. Converted to heat energy. Fig. 5. Without this continued input of solar energy, biological systems would quickly shut down. Therefore, Earth is an open system with respect to energy. Figure 5. Concept of open system. Source. Author and departmental artist. 3.3. Biogeochemical cycle. Nutrients are recycled in global nutrient cycles. In these cycles, nutrients alternate between organisms and the environment. Humans can disrupt nutrient cycles in many ways, with profound impacts on ecosystems and our own future. Nutrients are found in 4 compartments within the terrestrial ecosystem: in the atmosphere, in the pool of available nutrients in the soil, in organic materials, biota and organic debris, and in soil and rock mineral. Biochemical transformation of nutrients occurs within the bodies of organisms and return back into the environment in the form of inorganic state. Microorganisms such as bacteria often complete this process of conversion, which is termed as decomposition or mineralization. Figure 4. The mineral nutrients are recycled endlessly within ecosystems, between their biotic and abiotic components. Hence the Earth is a closed system with respect to materials or elements or nutrients, with the exception of a foreign space body entering the system now and then, e.g., meteorite. Figure 6. Nutrient relationships of a terrestrial ecosystem, showing sites of accumulation and major pathways. Input and output may be composed of geologic, meteorologic, and biologic components, as described in the text. Source. Most nitrogen enters ecosystems through biological nitrogen fixation, is deposited through precipitation, dust, gases, or is applied as fertilizer, as shown in the Fig. 7 below. Figure 7. Nitrogen cycle. Source. Author and departmental artist. 10. Other important nutrients include phosphorus, sulfur, calcium, potassium, magnesium, and manganese. Phosphorus, calcium, magnesium, and manganese enter ecosystems through weathering. Acid deposition is an important source of sulfur in many ecosystems. Potassium is primarily cycled between living cells and soil organic matter, says manganese and magnesium. 4. Factors of ecosystem. All ecosystems are controlled by certain factors, which are referred as internal factors and external factors. The external factors are listed below. Acclimatate is the most important external factor and determines the biome in which the ecosystem is embedded. B. Precipitation levels. Stay. Rainfall patterns undermine the availability of water in any ecosystem. C. Temperature. It affects the seasonality and the supply of energy via photosynthesis in the functional unit. D. Parent material. It is the underlying geological material that gives rise to the type of soils in the ecosystem and influences the nature of the soils present, along with their nutrient mineral contents. E. Topographic controls the ecosystem processes by affecting things like microclimate, soil development, and the movement of water through a system. It has a major role in the formation of habitats in an ecosystem. These external factors, also called as state factors, control the overall structure of an ecosystem and the way things work within it, but are not themselves influenced by the ecosystem. Other external factors responsible for the invariable dynamic entity of an ecosystem, being subject to periodic disturbances, are time. It plays a crucial role in the development of soil from bare rock and the recovery of a community from disturbances. 11. Potential biota. It is the set of organisms potentially present in an area that can also have a major impact on ecosystems. Non-native species, if introduced, can too substantially alter or shift the functioning of an ecosystem. Resource inputs are generally controlled by external processes. Internal factors of ecosystems not only control ecosystem processes, but are also controlled by them via feedback loops. The availability of resources within the ecosystem is controlled by internal factors like decomposition, root competition, or shading. Apart from these, other internal factors are disturbance, succession, or the types of species present. Human activities are important in almost all ecosystems, and their cumulative effects are large enough to influence external factors like climate. 5. Relationship of ecology with different subjects. Ecology is one of the main divisions of biology. It is a multidisciplinary science related with zoology, botany, climatology, chemistry, biochemistry, physics, physiology, biophysics, geology, and geography, which studies the interactions amongst organisms and their environment, chemical and physical factors. An ecologist is concerned with the distribution, behavior, populations, and communities in relation to the environment ecosystems. The evolution of adaptation and of species is of mutual interest to the ecologist and to the geneticist. Biometeorology is a connecting link between ecology and physiology, and system analysis interrelates ecology and mathematics. Ecology is also closely related to other biological disciplines such as evolution, study of how living beings evolved and how they are expected to change in the future, keeping in view the environmental changes, and epidemiology. Using statistics help. The epidemiology study the development of epidemics on the populations and support the ecology. To fully understand an ecosystem, ecologists also require some basic understanding of meteorology, oceanography, limnology, geology, etc. And for understanding the living components, the knowledge of thermodynamics and genomics also comes handy. Ecologist brings the information and skills from different and varied fields of sciences to bear on the study of the ecosystem. They works on different fields of environment such as inland, 12. Sea, freshwater, and others, as well as in different levels such as the community level, population level, and at the biome level. The ecologist usually uses 3 approaches in their studies, namely the descriptive, experimental, and theoretical. Ecology and econometrics share in similar math in their historical origins. Even sociology and anthropology have its active role in the study of ecology. 6. Specialized branches of ecology. Ecology is a broad biological science having numerous specialized branches listed below. Organismal ecology, the study of individuals and species with focus on physiological and behavioral aspects. Habitat ecology, the study of different habitats on Earth's environment and their effects on the organisms living there, is called habitat ecology. Habitat ecology is subdivided into marine ecology, oceanography, estuarine ecology, freshwater ecology, limnology, and terrestrial ecology. Terrestrial ecology is further classified into the following: forest ecology, cropland ecology, grassland ecology, desert ecology, etc., according to the kinds of study of its different habitats. Population ecology, it is also known as demecology. It is the study of growth mannerism, structure and regulation of populations of species. Community ecology, the study of the local distribution of organisms in different habitats along with the identification and composition of community units and their succession. Ecosystem ecology, it is often referred as ecological dynamics. It is the study of the processes of soil formation, nutrient cyclic energy flow, and productivity of ecological levels. Global ecology, the study of how all organisms interact and survive in their planetary environment. 13. Industrial ecology, the study of industrial systems with the goal of finding ways to lessen their environmental impact and help in the sustainability concept. It is the study of material and energy flow through industrial systems. Urban ecology, the study of ecosystems that include mankind in habitation in urban areas and cities. It is an emerging, interdisciplinary field that aims to understand how human and ecological processes can coexist in human-dominated systems and thereby help in city planning. Landscape ecology. Landscape ecology is the study of the interactions between the temporal and spatial aspects of a landscape and the organisms within a region of interest, usually across large geographical areas, and how these interactions affect ecological processes, especially the unique effects of spatial heterogeneity in a variety of landscape scales and organizational levels of research and policy. Cultural ecology. Cultural ecology is the study of human adaptations, including biological adaptations, to social and physical environments. It's an interdisciplinary field of anthropology and ecology emphasizing relationships between human cultures and the environment that enable a population to survive and reproduce within a given or changing environment. Human ecology. Human ecology is the study of the relationship between humans and their natural, social, and built environments. It is an interdisciplinary as well as transdisciplinary subject amongst several social science, humanistic, and bioscience disciplines. Production ecology. In ecology, productivity or production refers to the rate of generation of biomass in an ecosystem. Production ecology is usually expressed in units of mass per unit surface or volume per unit time, for instance grams per square meter per day gm-2d-1. The mass unit may relate to dry matter or to the mass of carbon generated. Applied ecology. Applied ecology is the study of ecological principles to solve real-world problems. 14. Chemical ecology. Chemical ecology is the study of chemicals involved in the interactions of living organisms. It focuses on the production of and response to signaling molecules, i.e. semiochemicals, and toxins. Physiological ecology. Physiological ecology is the study of the adaptations of an organism's physiology to their constantly changing environmental conditions for their successful reproduction and survival. Medical ecology. Medical ecology is the study about the public's health in lieu of their environmental aspect. Functional ecology. Functional ecology study about the species that play an important role in the ecosystem. Fire ecology. Fire ecology is the study about the role of fire in the environment of life processes and its effect on ecological communities. Sociology. Sociology is a behavioral science which does a systematic study about the human social relationships and institutions, using various methods of empirical investigation and critical analysis to develop a body of knowledge about social order, disorder, and change for proper functioning of human society. Paleoecology. Paleoecology is the study of the environmental relationships of organisms in the geological past using fossil deposits of animals and plants for investigations regarding ancient life forms and their habitats. Genecology. Ecological genetics. Genecology, the study of genetics in natural populations, which integrates ecological and genetics mechanism of speciation. Pedology. Pedology is the study of soils in their natural environment. It is one of two main branches of soil science, the other being edapology. Space ecology. It is involved in the study of solutions for sustainable life in deep space, especially on
Ornithology, radiation ecology, systems ecology. Systems in the sense, ecological systems. And then microbial ecology is a branch, bacteria, fungi, protozoa. Bioecology, animal ecology and plant ecology are given equal emphasis on understanding ecological dynamics and are together referred to as bioecology.
7. Ecological relationships. An ecological relationship is the relationship between an organism or population of organisms in a habitat of the respective ecosystem, depending upon the way the particular organism gets adapted to its environmental pressures on evolutionary basis. The web of relationships is interdependent and complex as all organisms in any and every ecosystem are connected and every interaction is dependent on the one before it. So, the ecological relationship an organism has depends on the way the organism adapted to its environmental pressures on evolutionary basis. The oppositional relationships are predation and competition. The symbiotic relationships are mutualism, commensalism, amensalism, neutralism, cooperation and parasitism. Figure 8. The interaction among organisms within or between overlapping niches can be characterized into various types of ecological relationships given below. Mutualism. It is an obligatory symbiotic relationship in which both the organisms are beneficially affected. E.g., for example, some anemones share a mutualistic relationship with 16 boxer crabs, Libia tessellata. The boxer crab holds the anemone in its claws to use its stinging tentacles to fend off predators. In turn, the anemone consumes the crab's leftovers. E. Commensalism is a symbiotic interaction amongst organisms, where one species benefits and the other is unaffected, i.e., where one species provides protection for another less mobile or more vulnerable species. E.g., relationship between sea anemone and clownfish. E. Amensalism, the ecological interaction in which an individual harms another without obtaining benefit. A classic example is the release of chemical toxins by plants that can inhibit the growth of other plant species. For instance, black walnut juglans nigra, which secretes juglone, a substance that destroys many herbaceous plants within its root zone. IV cooperation. It is an interaction among groups of organisms working or acting together for common or mutual benefit, as opposed to working in competition for selfish benefit. E.g., working of ants. B. Proto-cooperation is an ecological interaction in which both participants benefit but which is not obligatory for their survival. E.g., the spur-winged plover, which eats residues from crocodile teeth by using its beak. B. Neutralism in this symbiosis
So here we can see different relationships. Mutualism, as we know, it's beneficial for both of the parties. Commensalism is something where one species benefits and the other is unaffected. It doesn't matter. Okay. Then the next one is amensalism, where one individual harms the other one without getting harmed by itself, like it harms the other one without obtaining benefit, like just harming the other person without obtaining any benefit. Then cooperation is for mutual benefit, common mutual benefit, as opposed to working in competition for selfish benefit, working of ants. Then proto-cooperation is an ecological interaction in which both participants benefit, but which is not obligatory for their survival. Like really, they can live without that cooperation also. Kind of mutualism, but not, obligatory. Okay.
B. Neutralism in this symbiosis relationship between two species. Both species interact but do not affect each other in any way. E.g., interaction between a rainbow trout and dandelion in a mountain valley. B. Parasitism, when one species benefits and the other is harmed, it is defined as parasitism. It too is a form of symbiotic ecological relationship. E.g., ectoparasites and endoparasites. 17. Figure 8. Patterns of population interactions. Source, author and departmental artist.
Just carefully learn this, because sometimes this can turn into a confusing thing. So mutualism, effect on species 1 positive, effect on species 2 positive. Commensalism, effect on species 1 positive, effect on species 2 no effect. Predation, parasitism and herbivory, one gets benefited, like effect on species 1 is positive but effect on species 2 is negative. Neutralism, there is some sort of interaction is there, but they don't benefit or harm any of these interacting species. Amensalism, one is getting harmed, but the other one is getting no benefit, no harm. Competition, both are getting harmed because of their competition.
B. Predation. Predation is a positive-negative ecological relationship which is an essential natural mechanism of population control, where one organism hunts predator and consumes the other hunted organism prey. Here, one individual mutilates or kills another to get food. Solar energy received by the prey is then transferred to the predator. A predator is usually a carnivore that hunts, kills and eats other animals. For example, snake eating a mouse or a hawk eating a snake, pitcher plant or Venus flytrap are carnivorous plants. X. Cannibalism is the most grave form of predation, where in a particular population the individuals start eating each other due to scarcity of food resources. E.g., frogs, lures, isopatch. X. Competition. In this ecological interaction neither species is benefited as the individuals explore the same ecological niche or their ecological niches partially coincide. It is further subdivided into intraspecies within similar species competition, interspecies within dissimilar species competition, and competitive exclusion principle. Two species that compete for the exact same resources cannot stably coexist. 18. Sheet symbiosis is a close ecological relationship between the individuals of two or more different species that dwell together. This mechanism helps some organisms adapt to conditions by helping each other survive. Sheet mimicry is an ecological relationship, where one species mimics another, typically using color or pattern. For example, the harmless banded snake eel may imitate a more dangerous sea snake. Sheet camouflage is another form of mimicry and can be seen in seahorses and scorpionfish. And inharmonious or negative, ecological interaction is when at least of the participating organisms is harmed. E.g., interspecific competition, parasitism, predation and amensalism. And harmonious, or positive, ecological interaction is when none of the participating organisms is harmed. E.g., commensalism, mutualism, cooperation. 8. Importance and scope of ecology. The study of the ecosystem and the environment can be traced way back in the time of Theophrastus in around 372 to 287 BC in the ancient Greece. Since 1960s, the study of ecology has grown in leaps and bounds responding to the increasing environmental problems throughout the world. The scientific study of ecology is important to protect and conserve nature in general and prevent the extinction of species in particular by step-by-step analysis. With the advent of modern civilization, the detrimental effects of population explosion, pollution, deforestation, and many other problems have altered the delicate balance of nature for amicable existence of all species. Only a good knowledge and thorough understanding of ecology can preserve, conserve, and restore the delicate ecological balance. Furthermore, it allows us to forecast a predictable picture of how human activities which affect environment over time. The scope of ecology is boundless as its study determines the distribution and abundance of organisms with the ever-changing phenomenon of the abiotic and biotic factors, thereby keeping the role of an ecologist quite challenging. Ecologists seek to explain 19. All life processes and their interactions. Adaptations of flora and fauna and natural selection. The every flow and movement of materials within ecosystems. Study of biogeochemical cycles. The successional development of living communities. Sustainability of life-supporting functions of dynamically different ecosystems. The abundance and distribution of organisms in habitats in an ecological hierarchy. Also the biodiversity in the context of our planet's environment. Ways to preserve this biodiversity from human activities without hampering either one. The ecologist usually uses three approaches in their studies, namely the descriptive, experimental, and theoretical. The ecologist usually uses three approaches in their studies, namely the descriptive, experimental, and theoretical. The descriptive approach involves a detailed field observation. The experimental approach seeks information on how the specific ecosystem works. The theoretical approach deals with the theories or principles that govern the nature of the ecosystem. Ecology can also be called as human science, in lieu of the many practical applications of ecology and biology, wetland management, agroecology, agriculture, forestry, agroforestry, fisheries, city planning, community health, economics, basic and applied science, and human social interaction. The enormous branching of ecological study has expanded the scope of this interdisciplinary field by many folds. Thus, the scope of ecology contains a wide array of interacting levels of organization spanning micro-level, e.g., cells, to a planetary scale, e.g., biosphere phenomena. 9. Mechanism of ecosystem. Ecosystems are complex systems with many interacting components which are regularly exposed to various changes or disturbances in the environment. Many disturbances are caused by natural processes, but recently human activities have been one of the main factors in disturbing this environment. 20. 9.1. Succession. Progressive change in biotic communities is a part of their normal development. The orderly change or replacement of one community in an area by another in a specific period of time is called ecological succession. Depending on the force of change, succession can be of two types. Autogenic succession. Succession is the result of the organisms themselves. Allogenic succession. Due to external force, mainly physical forces such as storm, fire, earthquake, human interference, etc. Often succession is the result of both autogenic and allogenic factors, even though it may be triggered by either one of them. In 1916, F. E. Clement described the theory of succession, and involves the following steps. Nudation, development of bare site. Migration, arrivals of propagules. Eissis, establishment and initial growth of vegetation. Competition, species compete for space, light and nutrition. Reaction, replacement of one community by another. Stabilization, development of climax community. Ecological succession can broadly be divided into two types. Each succession consists of series of sequential stage known as a sera, and each sera is made up of a sequence of seral communities, seral stages. Seras are classified according to the environment, like hollows are developed in salt marshes while hydros are in aquatic environment. Primary succession is the process where succession starts on barren ground where no community had existed before forming a mature community. The example is the invasion and colonization of bare rock on a recently created volcanic island. The first pioneer community in primary succession is mainly lichen, which invades the area through various dispersal methods. The tenacious and water-seeking nature of fungus is suitable in forming the pioneer community. It secretes weak acids that gradually erode the rock surface, promoting for other communities to succeed. 21. Secondary succession. It is the process of succession, in which a mature community is formed in an area which has been previously destroyed by either natural calamities or human interventions. It is a long-term repair process and occurs more rapidly than primary succession. The example is the reclamation of previously burned forest or an area after limestone mining. Biotic and abiotic components change during succession. The pioneer and intermediate communities modify the condition so that it favors the growth of new communities which eventually replace the previous one. The most important result of succession is the increase in species diversity and ecosystem stability. 9.2. Homeostasis, maintaining the balance. The whole universe can be isolated into different systems for the purpose of observation and study. But in reality, these systems have close interaction with each other. The capacity and state of a system to self-regulate itself to maintain internal consistency is called homeostasis. The word homeostasis is derived from two Greek words, homeo, which means same, and stasis, meaning standing. Hence, staying the same is the literal translation of homeostasis. Ecologists believe that Earth is in a state of equilibrium of many self-regulating living systems. Feedback mechanism keeps the system in fairly constant state. Nonetheless, if we push it too far in one direction, the self-regulating mechanism will break down, resulting in radical changes. I. Feedback loops. Biological systems in an ecosystem have a variety of regulatory circuits called feedback loop. Feedback loop can be described as a sequence of events or interactions in which a change in some original rate alters the rate and direction of further change. It is divided into two types, i.e. negative feedback and positive feedback. 22. Figure 9. Positive and negative feedback mechanism. Source. Author and departmental artist. In negative feedback, the stimulus results in response that inhibits or reverses any change from the original state, bringing the system back to the set point. A classic illustration of negative feedback is population regulation, which restrains the population within the limit of supportive ecosystem. Figure 9. On the other hand, positive feedback leads to further change in the same direction, taking it away from the set point and causes damage to the system. Positive feedback causes exponential growth, increase rapidly in population when there is a surplus of resources. In short, homeostasis controls an organism's internal physical and chemical condition within limits essential for the organism's survival. 9.3. Human impacts. We are all a part of the ecosystem, and human beings too are dependent on it for their survival. The biotic plants, animals, microorganisms, man, etc. And abiotic temperature, atmosphere, earth, sunlight, precipitation, etc. Components are closely linked together through nutrient cycles and energy flows. An ecosystem is said to be in equilibrium when all these components are in steady state. The capacity of an ecosystem to continue at equilibrium in spite of being disturbed is called resistance. The speed with which an ecosystem restores 23 after being disturbed is called resilience. The damage can be such a degree that an ecosystem loses its resilience entirely, leading to complete annihilation and irreparable loss to the ecosystem. Human beings have often caused disturbances intentionally or unintentionally, disrupting the delicate balance of ecosystem. Figure 10. Human Impact Analysis Model. Source. Recreated from Environmental Science, 8th edition by Daniel D. Chiras. The model shows how human activities have impacted both biotic and abiotic components of an ecosystem, resulting in its own destruction. Figure 10. The basic knowledge and understanding of environment is outpaced by technology. Restoring the natural system will 24. Not only save species but also ensure adequate supply of food for all. Realizing its importance, scientist Ed Garbush and the others gave rise to a new field of ecology called restoration ecology, which is one branch of science called conservation biology. 10. Summary. There are two main processes which help in the functioning of an ecosystem, namely, energy flows and ecosystem nutrient cycles, which take place among various trophic nourishment levels. Producers such as photosynthetic organisms, phytoplankton plants, and or constitute the bottom of the food chain in many ecosystems and are called primary producer. Primary producers are eaten by primary consumers such as herbivores. Herbivores are fed upon by the carnivores. In this manner, higher level consumers feed on the subsequent lower trophic levels until it reaches the organisms at the top of the food chain called the apex consumers. Complicated networks of food chains are the food webs. Pollutants, especially non-biodegradable ones in an ecosystem, move through the various trophic levels by two main processes, namely, bioaccumulation. It refers to how pollutants enter the food chain, in which there is an increase in concentration of pollutants from the environment to the first organism, and biomagnification. It refers to the tendency of the pollutants to concentrate as they move from one trophic level to the next. Diagrammatic representation of the trophic levels is referred to as food pyramids, which are of three types: I pyramid of number, E pyramid of biomass, and E pyramid of energy. Flow of energy in the ecosystem is always unidirectional from producers to apex consumers. Sun is the main source of energy of our planet. Without this continued input of solar energy, biological systems would quickly shut down. Therefore, Earth is an open system with respect to energy. Biogeochemical cycle helps in recycling the mineral nutrients endlessly within ecosystems through decomposition and mineralization among its biotic and abiotic components. Hence, the Earth is a closed system with respect to materials or elements or nutrients. 25. Ecology is a multidisciplinary science related with zoology, botany, climatology, chemistry, biochemistry, physics, physiology,
Here another new term like autogenic succession and allogenic succession. If the succession takes place on its own, it's autogenic succession. If it's due to external factors, it's allogenic succession. Thank you for listening.